25% increase in interest payment on the federal debt year over year. The interest on the federal debt is now the second largest line item in the U.S. budget. And when the rates go up to about 4%, the effective, essentially the average interest rate we're paying, it will be the biggest line item of our budget. I mean, it's funny because it's so flippin' insane. All right, don't forget the reason the interest rates are increasing because the interest payment is increasing because the interest rates are increasing. But the federal government still has a bunch of bonds that aren't paying crap out there, and that they're going to start rolling off, which in fact, what's going to mean they're going to pay, when they reissue them, they're going to pay higher interest rates. So they're going to roll off at 1.5, they'll reissue at 4. I mean, oh my goodness, it's insanity. Right now, Social Security, the Health and Human Services, Social Security, Medicare, and whatnot, is by far and away the biggest line item that we have. Now it's $897 billion is what they're expecting for the fiscal year. But that could go over $1 trillion if once they have to reissue new bonds at a higher interest rate. So the interest on the debt will be the biggest line item. The DOD is still number 3 at like $750 billion. We need to really cut back on the DOD, man. Come on. This is why it will never be resolved. It will never be resolved. You know, the conservatives say, well, we want low government, but except for the DOD and the TSA and we need more spending there. And NASA. We want low government, small government, except for NASA, the TSA, the Department of Defense. Everything else should take a pay cut because, you know, this is securing our country. Okay. And then the libs say, we need more spending on the EPA, on the Department of Education, on whatever, freaking welfare crap. But less on the DOD. Of course, everyone loves NASA. NASA is for adults like Santa Claus is for children. You know what I'm saying? NASA can do no wrong because if it wasn't for NASA, we'd never invented Velcro. It's so stupid. Oh, man. Can you imagine being as well thought of as NASA is, how just awesome that's got to be? Everyone loves you. Yes, one of your chief guys was a Nazi. Lots of Nazis dominated NASA in the 50s. Yes, Wernher von Braun was literally a Nazi. But somehow we just overlooked that. And we said, NASA's great. It's great. I would go back to the moon in a nanosecond, says Don Pettit. But we lost the technology and it's too complex to recreate. It's so freaking dumb, man. All right, so what does this mean? No one knows. No one knows. You're going to hear all kinds of people screaming bloody murder, like, oh my goodness, the dollar's dead, and no one knows. Japan has had a debt to GDP well above 200% for at least a decade now, and they're still paying zero on their debts. They're still issuing debt to fund their government. They got deficits as far as the eye can see, and they're still issuing debts to fund the government. Even though their debt to GDP is like 250%, debts as far as the eye can see, they're not paying any interest, and yet they're still issuing the debt. I don't know. I mean, we own the most of our own debt, by the way. So when I talk about paying interest, it's not the Chinese, it's not the Japan, it's to us. We're paying it to ourselves. Dude, it's so freaking stupid. We got like $31 trillion in debt. We're going to have a deficit of another $1 trillion this year. That'll mean we'll have $32 trillion in debt. Next year, we'll probably have another $1 trillion deficit. That means we'll have $33 trillion in debt. It'll never be paid off. It'll never go away. If the interest rates stay moderately high, the line item, the number one line item on our budget will be the service of debt. It's an impossibility. Is it sustainable? I don't know. People can scream all they want, say it's not sustainable. Well, tell me why. When's the dam going to break? Well, we hit $40 trillion in debt, the dam will break. When we hit 200% of debt to GDP, the dam will break. I mean, it'll last until it stops. No one knows. Bitcoin will solve it. The idea that Bitcoin, the government, is going to contract the control of the currency to private entities is so freaking stupid. I don't even know what to say, man. Ultimately, what I think is going to probably happen, I don't know when, where, how. I mean, who knows, dude? There's still a huge demand for U.S. dollars. We're still the best game in town. In fact, we're even better game now because our interest rates are so much higher than you can find anywhere else. We still have a strong economy because America kicks ass. Everybody else sucks. That's just a fact, Jack. And you know what? I know it. Anyway, when is it going to decline? I don't know. But they're probably going to do like an Argentinian, like a Venezuela, where they basically reissue a currency at some point. And the reissue of a currency will be CBDC, central bank digital currency. It won't be Bitcoin. It'll be, or unless they take over Bitcoin, I don't know. There'll be a central bank digital currency. And it won't be all at once. There's no need to. But again, I said this 2 years ago, maybe even 3 years ago now. I said, they'll basically say, we want you off the dollar. We're not going to punish you. We're just going to incentivize you to get off the dollar. We'll give you, if you use the CBDC, we'll give you 2% discounts. If you use a dollar, we'll give you 1% penalty. It's not even a penalty, but a surcharge or something like that. Dude, they're going to do that. You can see that a mile away. It's coming. You'll do it. I'll do it. What are you going to do? Well, I'll trade in Bitcoin. Okay. Yeah, right. I'll trade in gold. Okay. We're all going to follow suit because it's the convenient way to do this, man. There's no other way around that. It's coming. What does that do for your portfolio? I don't know. I just remember in Argentina when that happened. It's like 20, maybe 30 years ago, maybe. People went to the bank and they had $100,000 in the bank, and now when they reissue the currency, they had the equivalent of $60,000. Everyone took a haircut. It's crazy. Was there riots? Yeah, they probably rioted a little bit, but here they are. Everyone went on their business and the new currency. They'll probably do something like that here, but I don't even know they have to. People still have a demand for our debt. People still have a demand for our bonds. Investors, foreign countries, who knows? The whole thing is actually, people think it's going to collapse. Well, yes, everything collapses. Entropy, that's the state of humanity. It's the state of nature. Everything's entropy, which is why evolution's a joke, by the way. Everything entropies. Anyway, the point being is, it's amazing to me. And then you hear these, supposedly conservatives, small government. And you're like, well, how are you going to have small government if you have, I got healed for that guy, I always wondered that. How do you have small government if you have your Department of Defense that's, basically $750 billion is what the budget is. How do you have small government with Health and Human Services at $1.1 trillion? And none of these things are going to be cut. I would say a 5% cut across the board, except for Health and Human Services. Why? Because that's your Social Security and Medicare. I'd say everybody else get a 5% cut across the board. It won't do much. But I think the Department of Defense will be just fine if they took a 5% pay cut. And that's not the soldiers, the airmen, the Marines, the sailors, the coasties. It's not them. It's actually, we're not going to spend as much on foreign wars, on foreign aid, on doing all this stuff. We're going to just go, and what we're going to do instead is we're going to say, hey, we're not going to give you all the money we used to give you. We're just not going to. Why? Because we don't have the money. We don't have the money anymore. The money is gone. All right, so that's what we're going to do. But that's never going to happen because with our foreign aid becomes a lot of ability to lobby people and to make things how we want. So you can sit there and panic if you want. There's nothing you can do about it. There's literally nothing you can do about it. I guess you can pay off your debt. That's the number one thing. Pay off your debt the best you can. And that will help you 100% sleep well at night. I talk to people all the time. Josh, having no debt, I can sleep well. I hear that all the flipping time, man. All the time. So you can leave money in cash, and then people say, well, I got to be more in stocks. Why? Oh, because stock market will do better. If you think the dollar is going to collapse, you think the stock market is going to do better, that's just silly, man. Come on. Now, by the way, I'm not saying don't be in stocks. I'm just saying expect your rate of return on stocks to be less than what you anticipate. Don't expect the average rate of return on stocks. Expect your rate of return on stocks to be 5%. If you do that and you do a financial plan based on that with a 17% volatility and you're still good to go, that's freaking great. I'm still halfway in stocks. I'm a third. Actually, I'm probably 50, 25, 25. Half in stocks, half in cash, half in bonds. That's me right now. That's the best portfolio you can have. And we're getting rewarded being cash. How long that stays, I don't know. But, all right, take advantage of it while you can. All right, love your thoughts. We'll see you.